friend. You've arrived at tonight's story from the Sleepy Stories series. These are quiet journeys meant to help you rest while remembering the wonder woven into creation itself. If you'd like to receive more stories like this each week, you're warmly invited to subscribe and let this little corner of peace return to you whenever you need it. Now, as you settle in, let your breath slow. Feel the weight of the day drift away, like leaves carried on a gentle stream. With each inhale, receive peace. With each exhale, release every burden. Tonight's story invites us into the hidden world beneath the soil, a place where roots whisper and unseen threads of life hold the forest together. Even here in the quiet depths, we can glimpse the love of the Creator, a love that sustains all things, seen and unseen, a love that connects us to every living wonder. Rest now and let the story carry you there. Breathe in. The world above has gone quiet. Autumn's breath drifts through the trees, carrying the faint perfume of moss, rain-dark bark, and cooling leaves. Somewhere beneath your feet, an invisible city is waking. Tonight, we'll wander there, down through layers of soil and shadow, into the secret world that inspired Whispered Grove, a fragrance born of earth and stillness. Close your eyes if you like. Let the surface world fade until all that remains is the heartbeat of the ground itself. Every forest has two faces. One greets the light, trunks, leaves, wings, the chatter of life. The other dwells in darkness, a living lace of roots and threads, hidden yet essential. This second world never sleeps, while the wind above rustles branches, an unseen pulse moves below, slow as dreaming. If you listen carefully, the silence hums. Tiny vibrations travel through grains of sand. Moisture shifts from root to root, drop by drop, like whispered messages passed hand to hand. The soil breathes, exhaling what we inhale, completing the circle. Scientists call this region the rhizosphere, the thin halo of life surrounding every root. But long before microscopes gave it a name, poets simply called it the underbreath of the earth. Here, fallen leaves become memory. Here, decay transforms into promise. Imagine kneeling at the base of an old oak. You brush aside the leaves, and the scent rises, that deep, sweet, humus perfume. It's the same scent that lingers in Whispered Grove, damp moss, faint cedar, the echo of rain. It tells you the forest is alive even in its sleep. Beneath that oak spreads a kingdom older than the tree itself. Filaments thinner than a strand of hair weave through the soil, connecting roots, stones, and seeds. Each thread belongs to a fungus, yet together they form something vaster, a living network that binds the forest into one mind. When one tree thirsts, another shares water. When one falls, others sense its silence. Messages travel in sugars and signals, the forest whispering to itself through underground veins. To the naked eye, this place is darkness, but if you could shrink small enough to stand among those threads, you'd find yourself in a cathedral of lightless beauty. Pillars of root rise like columns, droplets hang like stained glass, and every grain of soil hums with the faint rhythm of life continuing unseen. Life never truly ends here. It only changes form, a truth the forest has always known, and that we, above, sometimes forget. Each fallen leaf is an offering, each decaying branch a beginning disguised as an ending. The soil accepts everything and gives it back renewed. Somewhere in that slow exchange lies a kind of wisdom, as if the ground remembers the first instruction ever spoken. Be fruitful, multiply, renew. The words have long faded from human tongues, but the roots never stopped obeying. Let's go deeper. Below the roots of the oak lies another layer, cooler, older, richer in secrets. Tiny tunnels carved by worms and beetles form corridors through which air and water move. Each tunnel is a lung helping the earth to breathe. Within those passages, unseen engineers, fungi, bacteria, microfauna, work without rest, breaking the past into nutrients for tomorrow. It's the grand recycling of existence, nothing wasted, nothing lost. If you could hold a handful of soil from this place, you'd cradle more living beings than there are people on the planet. A billion stories, all unfolding in silence. Each particle clings to another with electrostatic grace, creating tiny shelters where moisture gathers like prayer. And in that moisture, life writes its endless hymn. Build, break, begin again. Some say the forest floor is the end of all things, where leaves fall to die. But to the soil it is a beginning, the first note of resurrection. What seems like burial is really planting. What looks like silence is the world holding its breath before renewal. Perhaps that's why being in a forest feels like standing inside a thought too vast to finish. Every sound is soft, every motion measured, as though the entire creation were in mid-sentence, pausing between words. Beneath you now, threads of mycelium reach for each other. They fuse, separate, send signals, taste minerals, feel pressure. Some scientists believe these networks can even learn, remembering favorable conditions, adjusting growth as if guided by memory. Imagine that. Wisdom in the soil. A quiet intelligence older than language, working in perfect patience. Maybe patience itself was invented here. Maybe long before hearts beat, before stars burned, there was this rhythm, expansion, stillness, renewal, the rhythm we feel when we finally slow down. Take another breath. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the weight of the day sinking harmlessly into the ground, where it can be turned into something good. Even our worries, once released, become compost for peace. The earth knows what to do with broken things. It has practiced since the dawn of time. As you listen, the forest deepens. Above, night animals begin their slow chorus, the distant call of an owl, the hush of small feet over leaves. Below, the true orchestra plays on. Roots moving, water threading, fungi exhaling carbon in long, invisible sighs. If you could hear it all at once, it might sound like breathing. The planet's own breath, steady and sure. And somewhere within that breath, the whisper of something more, the hint of design, the echo of intention. Perhaps you felt it before, walking alone among trees, When everything seems to listen back, you pause, and the silence isn't empty, it's aware. It knows you're there, not watching but welcoming. That awareness is the forest's gift, a reminder that even in stillness we are surrounded by life that sees without eyes. To stand in such a place is to remember that nothing here is accidental. Even decay serves beauty. Even darkness hides light waiting to be born. And so we linger at the edge of this hidden world, half above, half below, ready to descend further where roots braid with stone and forgotten seeds begin their quiet miracles. When you're ready, we'll follow them. But for now, rest here. Let the scent of whispered grove fill the air, moss, cedar, and the sweetness of soil after rain. Breathe it in. You are standing at the threshold of renewal. Beneath the threshold, the light softens until only color remains, green melting into blue, blue dissolving into quiet gold. You step forward, though your feet make no sound. The ground seems to open, not in fracture but in invitation. Here time slows. Seconds no longer march, they drift, spiraling like dust motes in water. This is the rhythm of the deep earth, ancient, unhurried, endlessly patient. You notice how the air thickens with the scent of life working unseen. Minerals, damp moss, the faint sweetness of something just beginning to grow. Threads of white light shimmer faintly along the walls, filaments of mycelium glowing where they touch pockets of oxygen. Each one pulses softly, as if the earth itself were dreaming in bioluminescence. These threads are not roots, though they mingle with them. They are bridges, lines of communion stretching through darkness. Every plant you have ever seen, every forest you have ever loved, depends on this unseen conversation. The tree gives sugar, the fungus brings water, iron, phosphorus. In return, the two exchange what neither can find alone. It is an economy of grace, practiced in silence for hundreds of millions of years. Pause. And you can almost hear it, a murmur below human range, a sound like water folding in on itself. That is the language of exchange, not speech, not thought, something older, a memory of cooperation written into the soil. You walk deeper, and the tunnel widens into a hollow, lit by a pale, natural glow. Spirals of fungus rise from fallen wood like candle flames frozen in time. Drops of dew hang from them, catching the glow and scattering it into soft halos. It feels like standing inside a constellation that forgot the sky. Every droplet mirrors the world above, inverted trees, tiny moons, a reflection of all that exists in miniature. The forest, it seems, remembers itself even here. Kneel for a moment. Touch the ground. It is cool, moist, alive. The particles shift beneath your fingers, moving aside, then returning, as though breathing with you. Somewhere close, a trickle of water runs along a root like a string of glass beads. The sound is small, but it fills the hollow completely, a melody only the patient can hear. And in that patience, something ancient stirs, the recognition that all of this, every cycle of growth and decay, is the same heartbeat you carry in your chest. We are not visitors here. We are participants. Our breath feeds this soil. This soil feeds our breath. The circle closes with every inhale. Once the world was nothing but stone and light. Then came water. Then came shadow. Then came the quiet architects, the fungi, softening the rock, turning it to soil. Without them there would be no green world at all. They were the first gardeners, the ones who prepared the ground for life to take root. Even now they continue that first labor, rebuilding, healing, transforming. They ask for nothing but to remain unseen. Yet in their hidden work lies the blueprint of creation, that the smallest acts done in silence can sustain the greatest beauty. You realize this cavern is not empty. It breathes. The entire chamber swells and settles almost imperceptibly, with the rhythm of air moving through 1,000 tiny tunnels. It's the sound of balance. Intake, release, intake, release. If you listen long enough, you may feel your own breath sinking to it, aligning with the heartbeat of the ground. This is the first drift, the point where mind quiets and you begin to feel instead of think. Here under the roots the night never ends. There is no need for stars. The glow of life is enough. And though you cannot see the surface now, it's comforting to know it's still there, resting above like a sleeping friend. Every forest keeps its watchers, the owls, the foxes, the ancient oaks that lean toward moonlight. But below the guardians are quieter still. They hold no eyes, no wings, no teeth. Only patience, only persistence, and that is enough. You could stay here a while. The longer you remain, the more you sense how this place mirrors your own inner landscape, the roots of thought, the quiet connections that sustain joy, the unseen labors that make peace possible. There is nothing to fix here, nothing to reach for, only to rest, to let yourself be part of the slow turning that never truly stops. When you exhale, the ground accepts it. When you inhale, it gives back. This is the covenant of breath, older than language, older than memory. Now the chamber narrows again. Ahead, a passage curls downward into darkness, glimmering faintly with threads of silver. That is where the deeper story begins, where the mycelial rivers flow and the unseen builders weave the world's renewal. Take one more slow breath. Feel the peace of this place settle into you like cool rain. When you are ready, we'll follow those silver threads into the heart of the underground forest. The tunnel bends, carrying you further from the surface. Above, roots thin into threads. Below, the air grows warmer. A faint phosphorescence glows from the walls, pulsing in rhythm with your breath. This is where the forest's hidden rivers begin, the slow-moving currents of mycelium that knit soil, water, and memory together. Each filament is a story. Some stretch for meters, others for miles, looping and merging in endless design. They twist through pebbles, cling to roots, climb around stones that have slept here since the world was young. When one thread meets another, it does not compete. It fuses. Exchange, not conquest, governs this kingdom. Look closer. Tiny sparks of light pass through those filaments like messages between stars. These are the electrical pulses of fungi, quiet communications carrying news of rain, decay, and growth. What the forest learns above ground, it whispers below. Scientists have traced these signals, slow, deliberate, filled with pattern. Some call them the wood wide web, but to those who listen without instruments, it feels like prayer, the soil remembering every root it has ever held. Around you, chambers open, vaulted hollows carved not by claws or tools, but by persistence. Here the walls glitter with mineral dust, like constellations trapped beneath the surface. Fungi feed on stone, sipping its minerals drop by drop, sculpting cathedrals no eye was meant to see. The ceilings curve like ribs, the floors ripple with fine white lace. It is a city without noise, an architecture built from patience. You wander its corridors, weightless in the hush. Each step seems to erase itself, leaving only stillness behind. The air smells faintly of cedar and earth, that same calm perfume that rises from whispered grove, the scent of renewal folded into night. Everywhere the threads connect, they pass beneath fallen logs, around slumbering stones, into the roots of seedlings not yet tall enough to meet the sun. Through these veins, sugars, minerals, and information flow. One tree in shadow is fed by another in light. One dying trunk surrenders its wealth to a sapling. It is mercy in motion, the forest practicing generosity beneath its own feet. Far ahead, you glimpse a glow, a circle of greenish light suspended in the dark. As you approach, you see that it is not one source but thousands, mushrooms as small as pearls, covering the walls like a galaxy. They shimmer with gentle luminescence, breathing together in slow waves. To see them is to understand that darkness is not emptiness, it is canvas. Light here is tender, never harsh. It moves like water over silk, painting the stone with quiet life. Every glow is both decay and resurrection. Wood returning to soil, yet shining while it does so. You pause, watching. Their rhythm matches the pulse of your heart until the boundary between you and them blurs. For a moment, you are simply another filament in the network, a traveler remembered by the ground. The tunnel narrows again, leading you into a chamber that smells of rain before it falls. In the center rises a column of intertwined roots and fungal cords, twisting upward like a single living tower. Droplets slide down its sides, catching the dim light like liquid silver. This is the heart root, where every pulse of the forest converges. Touch it lightly. Beneath your fingers, warmth. A pulse. Not mechanical, not heartbeat, something slower, broader. It is the rhythm of exchange, of give and return, the same rhythm guiding tides, breath, seasons. If you listen, you might hear the faintest echo of your own story answering back. All we've ever done, all we've ever been, is part of this rhythm, dust drawn into design. Beyond the heart root, the passage opens into a vast underground meadow, a plain of pale growth stretching farther than sight. The ceiling arches high, dripping with luminous stalactites that glow in blues and greens. The ground hums softly underfoot. It feels alive, pliant, aware. Here, fungi weave carpets of mycelium thick enough to walk upon. They form gentle mounds and hollows like frozen waves. Each mound shelters life, blind beetles, translucent worms, seeds sleeping until the call of moisture wakes them. Everything waits here with purpose. Nothing rushes. Even the decay smells hopeful. You kneel again and scoop a handful of soil. It clings together like silk. Between your palms, warmth builds, faint but real. The heat of life continuing quietly, unseen. When you release it, the particles scatter like tiny sparks falling back into the pattern. You may notice that your own thoughts have slowed to match this place. Where they once darted like birds, they now drift like spores, each one finding rest before another begins. This is the deep drift, not sleep but surrender. The state the forest lives in at all times, awake but untroubled. Stay here a moment. Feel how stillness doesn't mean absence. It means presence so complete it no longer needs motion. You are safe here. Nothing hunts, nothing demands. Only the patient work of transformation continues. When rain falls above, it seeps down through moss and leaf litter until it joins this underground world. It carries with it the memory of clouds, a whisper of sky traveling into soil. Each drop that lands here feeds the fungi, and in return, the fungi send nourishment upward. The forest drinks from its own reflection. Sometimes the water gathers in hidden pools. Their surfaces mirror the glow around them, turning the cave into a chamber of stars. If you peer into one, you might see not your reflection, but the image of everything connected to you. The trees above, the roots that hold them, the threads that feed them, and somewhere in between, yourself, woven quietly among them all. This is the truth the soil tells. Nothing stands alone. Separation is an illusion of sunlight. Beneath every living thing is one unbroken fabric, a single breath shared across species, seasons, and centuries. Perhaps that is what makes the forest feel holy, not because it worships, but because it is worship, the act of life supporting life without end. In the distance, a faint draft carries the scent of the upper world, crisp leaves, autumn air, a hint of smoke. It mingles with the earth's sweet fragrance around you until they become indistinguishable. For a moment you understand that heaven and earth were never separate places. They simply meet here, in the hum of soil and breath. The glow dims slightly. It is time to rise. You trace your fingers once more along the heartroot's surface, feeling gratitude ripple through the threads, not yours alone, but shared. The fungi sense your movement. Somewhere a pulse answers, then the light fades to a deep, calming amber. When you return upward, you will carry a fragment of this stillness with you. It will cling to your skin like the scent of moss, reminding you that beneath every hurried step, the world is quietly at work renewing itself. Rest here a little longer if you wish. The story will wait. The forest never hurries. For a long while you simply breathe. The silence around you feels alive, a silence filled with motion too subtle to see. Every heartbeat of the soil echoes faintly within you, and you realize The earth has been breathing through you this entire time. You have listened to its pulse, and in return, it has listened to yours. Somewhere in the distance, water trickles again, the same stream that led you down here. It sounds different now, lighter, as if it's humming a song of return. You rise slowly. Your movements don't disturb the quiet. They become part of it. Each step toward the tunnel ahead feels like a thread being gently gathered back into a tapestry. The air shifts, cooler, thinner, the scent of moss blending now with a trace of open sky. The path tilts upward. The glow behind you fades, but the darkness is not empty. It is tender, like the closing of eyelids in rest. Ahead, the faintest beam of light appears, and with it, the sense of distance shrinking between two worlds. You begin to ascend, hands brushing the rough wall, feeling the textures change. Damp clay giving way to dry root, root giving way to stone, stone giving way to air. The tunnel narrows, then widens again. A breath of wind slips through, cold and sweet. It carries the fragrance of fallen leaves and something else, the first warmth of sunrise. Somewhere above, the forest is waking. You can almost hear it, the creak of trunks stretching after the weight of night, the flutter of wings testing the air, the sigh of dew sliding from leaf to soil. Every sound calls you closer. As you climb, the echoes of the underworld fade into memory, yet part of it lingers inside you, a hush that will not leave. It feels like peace made solid, like truth too vast to name, but simple enough to live. At last, the tunnel opens into a clearing. You step through, and light washes over you, soft, amber, gentle. The forest greets you not with fanfare, but with familiarity, as if you've simply returned home. Mist coils between the trees. Every droplet on every branch shines with the same subtle glow you saw below. The world above and the world beneath mirror each other, one in sunlight, one in shadow, both held by the same hand. You kneel and press your palm to the ground once more. It's cool, damp, steady. That heartbeat is still there, quietly pulsing through the soil. And you remember, the beauty you witnessed below never truly stayed there. It breathes up through the roots into every leaf, into the very air we live upon. Look around. Every blade of grass, every droplet of dew, every fallen petal, every thread of mist, all of it is the surface expression of that hidden kingdom, the visible born from the invisible, the seen held up by the unseen. It is the way of all things. Even we, wandering creatures of light and dust, are part of this same design, growing toward light while rooted in mystery. We are branches of the same quiet network, held by the same breath that stirs the leaves above us. Perhaps that is why stillness feels sacred, because in stillness we remember the rhythm written beneath everything. To receive, to give, to rest, to rise again. You exhale and the forest seems to exhale with you. You inhale and it returns the breath. The exchange endless, effortless, eternal. A gentle wind passes carrying the faint perfume of whispered grove, mushroom, moss, and soft earth touched by rain. It's the scent of the hidden world still clinging to you, a reminder that you have not merely visited that place. You have been changed by it. Wherever you go now, its calm will linger. In a crowded day it will return to you, in the smell of wet soil after a storm, in the curve of a root breaking through pavement, in the way silence suddenly feels alive. And maybe, when you light your whispered grove wickless candle one evening, its fragrance will open the same invisible door. Back to this moment of awe, back to this quiet communion beneath the world. You begin to walk through the clearing, the forest stretching before you in silver mist. The sun has only begun to rise, but its light already paints the air with promise. The world looks unchanged, and yet you know better now. Every leaf above is a continuation of the story below. Every step you take rests upon millions of living threads, each carrying the memory of creation. You pause. A single droplet falls from a branch and lands at your feet. It shimmers in the light, perfectly still, then sinks into the soil. That too is the pattern, everything returning, everything renewed. Close your eyes, let that image linger. A droplet merging with earth, a network unseen, a forest breathing through time. There is no separation here, no boundary between above and below, between the natural and the divine. Only one great pulse of life, steady and kind, whispering beneath the soil. You can rest now. The earth is awake. It will keep watch. May your dreams be gentle and your spirit grounded. And when you rise again, may you walk softly upon this sacred ground, listening always for the quiet that sustains all things.